how's that for Olympic preparation? The U.S. drew the same group as France for this summer's Paris Olympics in Group A and got a chance to face off against that squad in a friendly matchup yesterday. The U.S. U-23s found themselves in a 2-0 hole, but goals in a matter of 3 minutes from Cade Cowell and Griffin Yao leveled the score and completed an epic comeback for the U.S. 23 squad. Brian McBride, I know you were watching that match. What was your takeaway from what you saw from that U.S. squad? It
was an excellent match, and the U.S. started both halves really well. Had two opportunities, one sort of players getting in front of each other early on in the 6th minute and the 7th minute. Paxton Aronson has a header that doesn't head in the ground. Good save by the keeper. But after that 8th minute, then France took over. And you could see the quality they have in tight spaces. And Churchy, he was special. The two goals for the U.S. came exactly how they created some of the opportunities. There was long balls, long diagonal balls, a switch of field, and able to get numbers in there and put good crosses in the first half. Second half, it was more direct, and the substitutions definitely made a big difference. The goal from Cade Cowell is just typical Cade. He uses his pace, comes across, certainly takes a different deflection, but Yao had a really good tournament. 2 assists in the first match, comes in here and goes near post on the keeper.
Absolutely incredible. He had 2 assists in the match before this, in preparation for this match. And Griffin Yao was coming out of nowhere for a lot of people. DC United product, played for Luton United a little bit. Goes to Europe, goes to Westerlo in Belgium. Getting some good minutes. He's getting a lot of playing time, not the stats, but he has proven in this competition that, hey, maybe he deserves to be looked at a higher level. He has absolutely shined at a way where I'm like, man, I hope he gets a camp in with the senior team.
And Brian Reynolds had a really strong match also, using that right side. Kevin Paredes and him partnered really well. Had numbers sometimes. They, like I said, the trouble they were able to cause in the first half sort of woke France up. But as soon as France figured out how to break our press, it was really a lot going the other way.
I'm going to give a lot of credit to USA. I think for me that is a fantastic result. That just shows great character. You go 2-0 down to France, away in France, and to come back and get a 2-2 draw, that shows a great deal of progression and character, in my opinion, there, because really and truly you'd expect France to see the game out. There's no way France would concede 2 games so late on in the game, but I think that is very positive from their perspective, and a lot of upbeat and things to look for. And players that I've been on, Cade Cowell, I've been a big fan of Cade Cowell and what he's done and the ability that he has. Brian, I would say he's still an unpolished diamond. In the right environment with the right coach to get him to understand his strengths and attributes, he could go on to be an even better player. I would say if you had to pick 2 or 3 players, who would you say were the 3 players that really stood out for you in that performance?
I think, first of all, I touched on Brian Reynolds had an excellent match. Kevin Paredes did too. And then Jack McGlynn came on and started being able to control the tempo of the game. And those substitutions, that's when we got our 2 goals. But the substitutions definitely had a positive effect. Yao, again, making an impact, having the ability to go at players one-on-one. So for me, in the bulk of the game, Brian Reynolds and Kevin Paredes were really good.
When it's hard to boil it down to just 3 players, and that's usually a pretty good sign that it was a good team performance, how much did that draw change your outlook on how this U.S. squad will fare come Olympic time, given that that's one of their biggest competitors?
Well, yeah, it's going to be everybody's biggest competitor. The big question mark is going to be, 1, who makes a squad, but 2, who your 3 overage players are. And not just the U.S.'s, you got France's, you got everybody that can add, 3, what you would hope would be top players.
Can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Who would you pick as those top 3, as those 3 overage players?
That's a great question.
I know. You were the GM of U.S. Soccer, so we don't
have anybody really standing out on the men's national team that you would say, okay, he's our goal scorer. So I would leave that alone. You've got Duncan McGuire, you've got other options up there. And so I would look to have a defensive holding midfielder, someone that can let Jack McGlynn work, let Luna work.
Any name come to mind?
That's the really interesting part, because for this match and for all internationals, clubs have to let the players go.
Yeah.
For the Olympics, they don't. Yeah. And so there's going to be a lot of negotiating between Marco and Greg, and then Greg and the federation and the clubs directly.
Well, that goes to the French side of things as well, because when you look at the France team as well, they're in the same thing. It's really an audition. But for them, they will not be happy to have a 2-0 lead against USA and then to draw 2-2. And even if you watch that game, you listen to the fans, it's kind of like the French fans were kind of mocking the US a bit at times because of the whole stereotype of US soccer, and they were having a laugh, but then they weren't laughing at the end when they came back to 2-2.
Certainly
and I think with France as well, you look at Mbappe's already said he wants to play. So that's one there. You've got Ziyech Emery, who plays at Paris Saint-Germain, but he went up to the senior squad and is with the senior French national team, who probably could drop down. The other superstar, well, he's young, still underage, is Bradley Barcola, who's another Paris Saint-Germain Scarlet, but he got injured. So they're still auditioning, but that is not a good look on French football and what they're trying to do for that result. But for USA, great result. Do you think it's a little bit of an opportunity missed for the likes of Morrison, Maguire and stuff, not really standing out in a standout performance, do you think, for those names being
I think
recognized?
Maguire actually, moved around pretty well. When I say moved around, he's occupying two center backs. Yeah. And he dropped in. He held the ball up a decent time. He had one header in the first half, which he could have done better with. That's probably the one opportunity.
The second half, that free kick, I like that movement from the free kick as well, when they played the free kick over and he's kind of let it run and just dragged it wide past the post.
Yeah, there's ideas there. I mean, it's a good squad. And the nice thing that the Federation now has is there's an idea. There's an identity from the 14s that are regional based, then 15 onward, everybody's supposed to be playing in the same style. So players understand it that have been a part of that group. So when you go up an age group, it's the same thing. You go up an age group, doesn't mean you have to play 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. Yeah. You can play different formations, but the idea and the identity of we're going to attack and we're going to be on our front foot is something that you got a good chance to see yesterday.
Yeah,
okay,
Duncan
Brian,
Maguire, I was going to say Duncan Maguire in particular, because he didn't come from a traditional development situation, or he obviously goes to college, gets his shine a little bit later. I mean, he has this creativity, this improvisation that you don't get that taught. That's something that comes from within, and I think he offers.
Okay, we need Brian McBride to finish the test. You said a defensive midfielder. What other two spots do you think would be the most important for the U.S. to take?
So a center back for sure. You want a center back with experience that understands and has pace. That has got to be a big quality for them.
So you're saying Richards or Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, if you can. And, going back to all the young players that France has, we have them too. I mean, Yunus Musa could play. You have a multiple, and trust me, they've all talked. They've all gotten together and said,
I just love the way you're not naming names.
Let me play. We could put together a all-star full national team partial squad too, that without taking the 3 overage players. So it'll be really interesting.
Just pick 3 names.
No, but what would be one other position?
Midfielder, and what's the third one?
Third position.
Spine. You just laying up the spine.
Yeah, and that's why I would say normally it'd be a center forward, but I think you have something there already. So you'd add a playmaker. If you could get Gio to get free, you wouldn't have to use him as an overage player. He's sort of in limbo in his club.
What about a goalkeeper?
So the goalkeeper side of it, that's the other part that's really good. But I like the options we have at goalkeeper for the U-23. So you don't necessarily have to not waste, but use a third spot or one of the 3 spots.
Awesome.
I love the way how nice you guys go with him.
He hasn't said a name.
You don't put him on the spot. You don't make him no name.
He did say Yunus Musa.
I just said it.